Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, according to boxing scene, we have, and shout out to them, we have apparently Adonis Stevenson, WBC light heavyweight champion, the forgotten champion in the weight class. He apparently wants to fight, and he's very keen on the idea of making a fight with Joe Smith Jr. in New York on April 29th at the newly renovated Nassau Coliseum, which is in Long Island, New York, which is where Joe Smith is from. So, initial thoughts on this. Adonis Stevenson probably sees something in Joe Smith that he believes he can exploit, which he can. I actually would I'd favor him in that fight. Foot speed in general, I think, he's got that over Joe Smith, and power-wise, I believe they're even. Maybe Adonis, I give him an edge because that left hand is pound for pound one of the hardest punches in all of boxing. Now, they say they're negotiating this fight. It would make a lot of sense for Joe because as far as where the venue's at, because he's from Long Island. I'm pretty sure it's a dream of his to have always fought the Nassau Coliseum, and he'd be a huge fight. I'm sure he would get a lot of support. He's proven to be a good ticket seller in New York. So in a big title fight against a guy like Adonis Stevenson, I'm sure he would have great backing and support over there in the New York area. Now, on the other side of it, from a straight boxing standpoint, Joe Smith Jr. versus Adonis Stevenson, I look at it two ways. On one hand, I give Joe Smith a lot of credit because he's in a good position. He could easily take easier fights in his hometown against easier opposition, and develop himself a little more as a boxer, and kind of just stack your checks up. He has every right to do that, especially being that he comes from a very humble background. He's still a construction worker to this day. But he's not trying to do that. He's trying to go for the gusto. He wants the big names, the best fights right now. So you got to commend him for that. But on the other hand, this is a position where if he takes a Stevenson fight, his career could be over before it even starts. And he might get flattened by Stevenson because Stevenson has a world of experience, a lot of power, more speed. So there's a lot going against him if that fight happens. But the things he does have going for him is that he's younger than Stevenson by I believe 13 years, because Stevenson's like 40 years old. That's number one. And number two, if he wins that fight, that he's in an amazing position, because then you look at his last three wins. If he's beaten, he will have beaten Andre Fonfara, Bernard Hopkins in his last fight, Adonis Stevenson, one of the top 2 to 3 best light heavyweights in the whole entire sport of boxing. So, oh my God, if that fight happens, it'll be easy for me to pick who to root for, because Joe Smith is just such a likable guy, and Joe Smith Jr. Even though Bernard Hopkins was, trying to demean the guy, he is the common man, and he represents a lot of the people in the world, honestly, like just common people. But he's happens to be a really strong fighter. So I've been rambling. Let me get to the quotes from Joe Smith's team, and Michel, who's also Adonis Stevenson's promoter. He said, I quote, "We're still talking. We're making progress, and we have things we have to take care of moving forward." Then he says this. He says, "Stevenson wants to do it, so we're trying to find a way that will make everybody happy. Adonis is a team player. He's working with Al Heyman very closely. We work together very closely. He understands. He's telling us what he wants to do. He's trusting everybody, and that's where we want to go. That's the best thing, and that is the best thing for him. He has no problem going wherever we decide we need to go." And then Then Joe DeGuardia, who is Smith's promoter, came out and said, I quote, "It's certainly a great fight. We're exploring some things. I'm working on a bunch of different things, and I'm looking to make the best choice for Joe. The Nassau Coliseum would be a great place to fight, and if we can make that deal, we would. There are other places, obviously, that we are seeking to have Joe on. Fortunately, we're in a great position. He's a huge draw for New York, so we have a bunch of different options. And then there's, believe it or not, a couple other venues that are hot to have him because of the union aspect. So we're in a good position. One of the key factors is that when we're going to make the deal. We want to make a quick deal. I want to make a deal. So we're looking at which deals are out there, which deals we can make. You can make a deal when somebody puts pen to the paper, and that's what I'm hoping happens. And that's what we're working on. So it looks like this is a very viable option for Smith and Stevenson, and I commend Joe Smith for even considering this, because it shows his character. It shows that he's not afraid of the top dogs. You know, you heard him right after this fight with Hopkins. He wanted Ward, he wants Stevenson, he wants Kovalev. Like, and honestly, like, we're looking at Joe Smith as boxing fans, and we're not going to give him a chance, because the reality is, as much as I like him, he is, at least from what we've seen, a one-dimensional fighter. A guy who fights fire with fire, who likes to back his opponents up, but he shows no fear in doing that. He's very good in his one dimension. So there's no problem being a one-dimensional fighter as long as you're great in that one dimension. And he's proven to be pretty damn good in that one dimension so far. But he has yet to step up to that top, you know, class of light heavyweights. And, you know, that's what Stevenson is going to represent. And if he's to win that fight, which I believe he can do, because Stevenson hasn't really been testing himself, hasn't been active, and he is getting up there in age. So while people could make the argument that Stevenson is 40, but it's a young 40, he doesn't have a ton of wear and tear on his body. He did have a long amateur career. They could argue that, but the fact of the matter is 40 is 40. Father Time is undefeated, and Stevenson hasn't been keeping himself incredibly active. So the youth might play a great role for Joe Smith, and if he wins that fight, he's the WBC champion, and he is probably out of nowhere in the driver's seat of the light heavyweight division. Then you're looking at a potential, you know, he could be in line for if he beats Stevenson, he could be in line for maybe a chance at being the undisputed light heavyweight champion. Like, obviously that's a long way down the road. We don't know how things are gonna play out with the whole Ward Kovalev situation, but you know, Joe Smith Jr., he's one win away from being in a really, I mean, he's in a good position now, but I'm saying he beats Stevenson, he's in a really, really, really good position. So hopefully, if it happens, you know, that would be a fight I'd probably be interested in going to. I think that'd be an amazing fight for boxing. And yeah, man, that's the news. So Adonis Stevenson, Joe Smith Jr. are negotiating a fight for April 29th at the newly renovated Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York. Let me know what you guys think. I know people would probably peg Joe Smith as a massive underdog. How much of a chance would you give him against Adonis Stevenson if that fight ever took place? And yeah, just in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think about everything, and take the time to subscribe. And you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dang It. So until next time, take care, guys.